What is up, power metal fans, Lance King fans, however you want to look at this? So I finally, after I did that Pyramaze, by the way, it's called Pyramaze, I guess. I used to call it Pyramaze, but thanks to Jeff Budd, gave me some insight on the band, and I kind of learned about them, and kind of possessed me to go actually buy the first two albums that has Lance King on it. So thank you, Jeff. So Pyramaze, after I did that review of the album Matt Barlow was on, it's called Immortal, I decided to look into this band a little further. And I remember saying that I haven't had anything with Lance King on it, and I even follow Lance King on Facebook. Like, I don't know much about the dude musically, I just know more about him like philosophically. But so I finally got something with him, and I got Pyramaze Melancholy Beast and Legend of the Bone Carver, which is their second album. These are really cool. So basically, if you've heard Pyramaze with Matt Barlow, their third album, then you'll pretty well know what the first two albums are basically going to sound like. It's not a whole lot different. It's just with a different singer. And to be honest with you, this review is going to be kind of hard to come up with anything that I haven't already said about the Matt Barlow album. So Lance King, let's start with him. Lance King, to me, now finally getting to hear him, kind of reminds me of a mixture between Jeff Tate from Queensryche and maybe like Ralph Sheepers from Primal Fear, Gamma Ray, Tyrant Pace. I'm not saying he sounds exactly, that's just the closest thing I can kind of compare him to. But he's got a very, very power metal-y voice, like, without a doubt. Like, the dude's just made for power metal. So I like his voice. Very good stuff. I think him and Matt Barlow are great singers for Pyramaze. So musically, let's talk about what is it really. Again, if you've watched my Pyramaze Immortal video, then you'll pretty well be hearing the same things I'm going to say. Musically, they're pretty close to being the same. Like, we'll start with Melancholy Beast. There's the album art. There's the back. There's Lance right there. But I even guess like the guitarist in this band is even like a little bit influenced by Iced Earth, is kind of what I got from Jeff Budd. So I guess he's been watching some of my videos and stuff. We've been talking back and forth. So the music is pretty well what you would call let me think of it, progressive power metal. Lots of keyboards, lots of heavy guitars, very melodic. Now, the Iced Earth thing I was mentioning there is kind of a certain heaviness and percussiveness about his playing sometimes. I don't want to say that this music is like a total like ballsy headbanger throughout it. I mean, it's very, very melodic. More, you know, that's really kind of the focal point here is melody. But I do really appreciate a power metal band that's not afraid to be heavy sometimes. And that's one thing I really appreciate about this band. I will admit, there are lots of bands, power metal bands in this world that are pretty similar to bands like Pyramaze. Like, I wouldn't say that this band is completely original or reinventing the wheel in any way. But what I will say is this band's worth checking out because they're just so good at what they do. Their songs just have a nice atmosphere that just kind of draws you in, and it's just an enjoyable listen. Pretty much the same thing I said about their third album with Matt Barlow. It's just something that's nice to listen to. There's plenty of ear candy going on between lead guitars, you know, the riffs, the vocals. I mean, and even the keyboards. Like, I like the way the keys are used in this. Like, they're not overbearing. They don't make the music sound wimpy. They just add extra depth to the music, which I really, really like. So, you know, I guess you could say that, and I'll get the other album. I might as well like kind of review them together and not separately, because the only drawback to these kind of bands I could possibly say, and this isn't really like a huge criticism. It just is what it is when you get into power metal. Here's the second album, Legend of the Bone Carver. Also Lance King. But the only problem I could probably find with like a band like this is the albums don't have a lot of differences between them, as far as like, I don't feel like there's any more experimentation or fresh new ideas from like the first album to the third album. Like, I feel like it's pretty well business as usual. Now, that's not a bad thing. It kind of falls under, if it's not broken, why fix it? You know what I mean? But I can say, you know, they've got more albums past their third album. I can't remember how many they got, 5, 6 albums. I can't remember. But I'll have to go check those out. But, you know, it's very possible that a band can keep going like this and not be boring. I mean, that can happen. You know, some bands, like I just reviewed Gravedigger and Running Wild. Those bands, unfortunately, can get a little boring, especially Running Wild, unfortunately, even though I love them. You know, but it just so happens that, you know, like a guitarist like, you know, Rock and Roll from Running Wild is kind of like a one-trick pony. It's a great trick, but kind of a one-trick pony. Pyramaze at least has several tricks, so I'll say that. The band as a whole unit really does a lot to build an atmosphere and not get totally stale. And of course, when you have some heavy riffing thrown in there too, that adds, you know, a lot of contrast, because when you just listen to something that's just straight melody, and I mean, even if they're good melodies, but let's just say for the sake of a regular average power metal band, you know, like your typical Halloween clone, you know, those melodies sometimes just start running in together. It's like, it's just being melodic just to be melodic, and you really can't differentiate one song from another. But at least if you have heavy moments, that, you know, you got lighter moments, heavier moments, you know, at least it's, you know, you notice the change. You know, it's like a nice like punch in the gut, and then, you know, some nice symphonic, you know, flowery stuff, and then back to the punch in the face again. You know, like I kind of like that, you know, in power metal. And generally I listen to power metal that's got a little more of a punch to it, or it could be a little bit more thrashy at times. But no, this is a good band. This is a really, really good balance of what I like in a symphonic power metal band. So I'm definitely a Pyramaze fan. I'm going to check more. I'm a Lance King fan. Jeff Budd made a believer out of me. I'm going to check out some more stuff. And Lance King's going to be definitely a lot more than just a guy on Facebook. So now I actually know who he is as a vocalist and a musician. So that's great. I was just reading this little note on the back, and I didn't recognize this before. Please help save the metal scene. Play it for a friend, but don't burn it for them. I like that thinking. And this was put out, I believe, on Lance King's own record label, Nightmare Records, which I think is defunct now, but I'm not 100% sure. But if it is, that sucks. But anyway, I don't really know what else to say. These are two terrific albums. I don't know if I can put them both in the video at the same time like that, but terrific albums. I'm glad I have them finally, and I will check out their later stuff eventually. I've got a bunch of CDs coming now. The fever's kind of come back. I'm back in the groove of buying albums. So yeah, if you like this video, like, subscribe, tell me what you think about Pyramaze, and stay metal. See you next time.